Okay, what about microphone?
Well,
I don't know if you can hear me. I'll talk when I come back. Okay, this now the sand here. Good there.
I'm going to zoom in now. Hold on, point to it. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, that's an anthill. A lot of people talk about termite mounds and call them anthills, but that's the true anthill. And you got me on that one?
I got you on this one.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay, 2. Termites are the only things that can really glue sand together to make big termite mounds, those lovely big pinnacles that we see. And so I'm losing this child. I don't want him to go anywhere. Him is actually an it because it's an unsexed worker. But okay, I don't know if you can get this on my hand. No, you're not going to. Never mind. I'm trying things that are not really working, but I have to put this back.
Well, I'll give you 10 for 10, okay?
Okay, so let me get back into my chair and I can tell you a little bit more. Anyway, the little mounds of sand are what ants build. And they generally build those things when there is like a little volcano, like a little, just a little conical mound of sand. Without being able to glue the pieces together, it can only reach a certain height when all the sand just starts falling down. But essentially what it is, it's to block the entrance to the hole, and when bad weather comes in, it forms a protective cap over the entrance to the hole. And ants can't glue it together, so it's very loose sand, as opposed to the termites. And we do see termite mounds that are built out of sand and are glued together by a byproduct of what termites do in nature. But there are always termite species that don't build mounds. There are termite species, and in fact there are probably more termite species that don't build mounds than those species that do. And this is one of the most interesting species. I'm going to only be able to describe it to you because it's very hard to get it on camera, but basically what it is they expose, or rather they open up a hole to the outside world, and at a certain time of the year, certain times of the year rather, when there's moisture on the way, workers emerge out of the hole, and this is the only time you ever really see termite workers outside, and there's one species of termite that can do this, is they come out and they start harvesting grass stalks in huge numbers. And it's almost like a conveyor belt where you have some harvesting and cutting the grasses, some collecting the pieces of grass, bringing it to the entrance to the nest, and you have other individuals that just come up from underground and cut them a little bit further and take the pieces underground. And that of course gets chewed up and then fed from termite to termite and then fed to larvae. But I believe also what it is that they utilize it in the creation of fungus gardens, and it's the fungus gardens that they have in some of the species that help to not only produce food for larvae but help to decompose the grasses, and also in that whole process help with thermoregulation of the termite colony, because fungus goes through life changes, and at a certain time of the cycle of fungus, when they're sporing, when they're breeding, a reaction takes place that causes heat, and that heat that is generated helps warm up the termite mound. So it's very unusual to see termites above ground, and particularly this time of the year to see the harvest of termites busy. Maybe not so much this time of the year, but it's just an indication that we might have weather coming. I'm just reading science. I don't know if there is. Maybe it will go past us. Maybe there's rain that will go past us in Kruger. Who knows? It's not a rainy time of the year. It's definitely not the wet season. But just what's interesting is how the grasses pile up at the entrance to the hole. And also because these termites are above ground and they're exposed to the sun and they're exposed to the elements, they have pigment, they have a rudimentary eyesight, and they are somewhat protected by a slightly hardened shell, different to 99.9% of all other termites that have lost pigment, lost a hard exoskeleton. They're very soft-bodied, very vulnerable. They don't have eyesight, other than maybe to tell what is light and dark, to tell a little macro of something to be able to show it to you. It's the vehicle and the cameras on the vehicle. It's very difficult to get that brought closer to you. I hope that my description is good enough. Anyways, I was heading down to the river just before we started the drive. I heard some baboon barking and I heard some alarm calls, and I thought, oh, that's where the leopard were. So that's more or less where I ended up following them this morning. But then coming down here just before we went live with you, I bumped into two of the ProTrack guys who are the baboon. They told me that the baboons were barking at them, not at the leopards. I was going to the water tanks. Just had being disturbed in the bushes here. It's not going to help me much because it's quite deep in, but who knows. I don't know, head north or northwest. We'll see what we can find. That's Thornybush. I hope we're going to hear from you this afternoon. See what it was that disturbed them. These guys walk this way. But I still don't think it could have been them. They must be long gone. Go back to where I lost leopard tracks. I don't know what we're going to find. Hopefully a leopard. Hopefully something. Drive questions at wildearth.tv. Write to me. Let me know if you're watching. And of course where it is in the world that you're watching from. Interesting to know. You get harvested termites and you get harvested ants. Actually, Leon, you asked a pretty interesting question earlier. What is the difference between ants and termites? I was a little bit vague. I said, I know the difference between lions and impala. In that, yes, they're both mammals, in that ants and termites are both insects, but they are so radically different that they might as well be as far apart as lion and impala. Not all ants are carnivorous or insectivorous. That is a very broad statement. But I think one of the main things about it is that ants generally eat other things, and termites only eat plant matter. But in the taxonomy and the breakdown of different species, the speciation rather, in the natural world, where is it? Yuri shouting. Down there, straight ahead of us. Down there. The insects are divided up into about 32 different groups. Okay, here's Yuri shouting, looking down there. The francolin, no, it's far. But right now we can't stop and look at a luri because we've got a luri shouting. I had francolin shouting, and he's quite frantic about it. So there's something moving in the bush here, and I'm more concerned with what it's shouting at than the luri. Any poaching guy didn't come down this road. shouting a proper alarm call for the life's danger. Predator perhaps. I wish I could just take a little ride in there, but I can't. Just have to try and depend on finding it, whatever it is. I'm quite convinced that these leopards are still around here somewhere, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're moving around. It's not a very hot day. Even if it was a hot day, leopards will just still move around. See, they're clever cats. They know that in the heat of the day, it's the time of the day that you're least likely to have hyena and lion, who are both leopards, competition and enemy. A lot less likely that they're going to be moving around. So that gives leopard a bit of a free rein at this time of day. Between the francolins and the Luri, something moves up. So while I'm looking, I'm going to try and finish what I was talking about, with the different types of insects that you get. Moths and butterflies fall under the Lepidoptera. Another group of insects are the ants, wasps and bees. Another one the grasshoppers and crickets. Another one the dragonflies. Another one the damsels and lace flies and lacewings. Ant lions. Then you get wasps for bees and ants. Bugs. See, everybody calls anything insect a bug, but actually there's only one group of insects that are the true bug. And then the beetles, the biggest group of insects of all. The weight of all the beetles in the world would outweigh even all the mammals in the world. And so on and so forth. So termites are in a group of their own, and I think the closest, and this might fall some people, might turn their noses up at it because of the reputation of the cockroach, but funnily enough the termite's closest relative, not to say that they are, what I mean is that the one creature that is maybe closer to the termite than the ant is cockroach. And even then, there are hundreds and hundreds of species of cockroach. There are only really 3 species that become a pest in human habitation. Germanicus, Americanus, and Orientalis. If you think I'm joking, look it up. There's the American cockroach, the German cockroach, and the Oriental cockroach. And it's the spread of humans from these 3 places in the world that have put these cockroaches all over the world. And those are the ones that invade our homes and cause all the trouble that they do. And give food, or rather, what should I say, fodder for cartoons like Gary Lawson, what was it? Larson, Gary Larson, that's right. And the like. But termites are one of the oldest creatures on Earth, and they're also one of the most important creatures on Earth. Because without termites, all of this that we see here, the plants, whether it's grasses, trees, seeds, flowers, no matter what part of the plant it is, if it wasn't for termites, none of this would be able to really be broken down and put back into the soil as trace elements to feed the soil again so that more things can grow. And so they do have a very important function. Found anything there? There's no doubt that something is in that little block of bush. We had francolin shouting and go-away bird shouting. Couldn't see us. Maybe I can do a loop and go around again. Hello, David. David T. in the US today. In Florida, I believe. David wants to know, do we have fire ants? No, we don't. No. Not to my knowledge. I'm hoping we don't get them, because you probably find that they'd find conditions ideal and they might proliferate. We do have an ant. I don't know how it differs. In fact, I think what I need to do is have a look at fire ants and find out their family tree, their scientific family tree, where they belong. And are they myrmecine ants, or are they ponerine ants, or are they formic ants, the formicine ants? Do they bite or do they sting? I've heard a lot about them. I've heard that they can be painful, but is it their bite that is painful, or is it their sting? A lot of people talk about things like wasps biting and scorpions biting. They don't bite, they sting. Big difference, because one is with the mouth and the other one is with the tail. But I'd like to maybe find out more about fire ants in terms of their scientific name. So we constantly have a battle of identification, because common names vary from place to place. Just recently with the flower I found this morning, we had this dispute over it being a monkey pod, and that's because there is a monkey pod as part of the senna family. It used to be known as a cassia, but then they decided that only things with round pods would remain in the cassia family, and all of the cassias that had flattened pods would be transferred to the senna family. Senna has been used for years as a laxative. No? Yeah, I think so. A bit of a laxative. But it just goes to show that the common names don't help very much. And while I know that fire ants refer to a particular type of ant that has a reputation in the southern part of North America going to Central and South America, I've never really looked closer at them to find out where they belong in the ant family tree, and I think I need to do that. Because we have an ant that is somewhat similar. It's red, lives in huge numbers, and they are quite, I wouldn't say destructive, but they are voracious. And we call them in Swahili, they're known as siafu. They're also known as driver ants. Some people even call them army ants, but then again, we do have a different species of ant that is the true army ant. And that just helped me make my point, is that common names can never be really relied upon for accurate identification, because common names vary from place to place, And you might have two people arguing over a common name when they're arguing about either the same thing or two different things, and neither of them know it, because you have to bring their real name into effect. You have to put them in their place within the taxonomy of living creatures and within their group of animals, or plants for that matter, to reach a consensus. I don't think, maybe my book mentions it. I've got a better insect book, but no, I've got fireflies. There's no only fire anything in our part of the world. But I have a bit of an idea of what the fire insects are. I know that, if I'm not mistaken, they're also red type ants. Our driver ants, or siafu, live in huge colonies, and when they are driving, when they are moving en masse, they devour everything in their path. They're even known to subdue small mammals and birds. And essentially what they do is they drive anything ahead of them, anything that can escape their clutches, those jaws of theirs, they drive ahead of them. You often find birds, it's almost like as though it's a wave of fire pushing insects. It's very similar with these ants. And there are a lot of indigenous people throughout Africa that use them to cleanse their houses, and they use fire to herd these ants into their dwellings, because the ants won't take up nests there. The ants have their nests. They're out on hunting patrols. They're out to find food, and living in colonies of millions, they need a lot of it. So all you have to do is channel these ants into your home, into your bungalow, your randavel, your hut, and the ants will cover every corner of it looking for anything that they can find, and they'll clean it out of any parasites, any cockroaches, any insect, unwanted insect, and then they eventually gather their forces and go back home. Very effective insecticide, or biological pest control, for want of a better phrase. I've got a funny feeling that so okay, Brian, I'm sorry, but I had the other radio in my ear at the same time, the volume wouldn't drop. Please go again, because it sounded interesting. Hello, Deb in Florida. Very interesting question. Deb wants to know, or would like me to go a little bit deeper into the difference between primary, secondary, and tertiary termite queens. Really interesting, this, because I think you'd sooner find a diamond than you would find a tertiary termite queen. Termite colony can almost be likened to one organism rather than a bunch of insects living in a hole, or a termite farm. I think we're going to give up. We'll come back here in an hour and drive around with the cats. But for now, we're just going to cross the river and head north and find out if there's anything else to be seen. Your primary queen is the queen that has been bred specifically as a reproductive in her parent colony, along with the king. The caste we call the reproductive, the winged termite. And when the time comes for them to fly off and start their own colony, just after thunderstorms in the summer months, they fly off and they start a new colony. They drop their wings, they start a new colony, and they become the primary pair, the primary starters of the colony. Thereafter, only the queen survives. She's been impregnated. She can just continually lay eggs. I'm not too sure about this part, whether she needs fertilization again or not. But she can lay a couple of thousand eggs a day. Ow! Sorry folks, I'm trying to balance volume in my ear and noises and talk to you because it's really interesting, this whole story. The bigger the colony, the more termites are needed to maintain the colony, because a termite colony is almost a thing of perfection, especially some of these big pinnacle mount termites, where, oh, you still there? Okay, that's, somebody must have tried to come through here, because that's got a lot worse. Termite colony it has perfect air conditioning, or what we call thermoregulation. Termite colony has to retain the perfect temperature of almost the same as our temperature. For us it's 37 odd degrees centigrade, so like 98 I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or whatever our temperature is, it's very similar in termite. I've got to get through this tree. Interrupt me as well again. Let's right, Mark. That tree, I think I'm going to have to cut that branch because it interrupts me when I'm talking every time. And I don't like cutting trees, but it's just one of the only ones in all our drive we have to go past every day and a couple of times, and it just hits the antenna. It's just one oak. In fact, it's mostly dead branches overhanging. So, getting back to primaries and things, I know it's probably a simple answer to this question that's just taking me forever to get there. But as the colony grows and the workers are made, believe me, they are made. The queen lays eggs and the larvae that hatch become workers, and those workers are there to just provide all the services that are needed to maintain this big colony that has perfect air conditioning, it has perfect thermoregulation, temperature control, it has perfect waste disposal. It's like us building a giant city and having all of these services come along as a natural consequence to our just being there. That's what it is with termites. And the reason why this is so important to answer this question is because a large colony needs a large number of workers, and if the queen dies, it's possible that a worker, they can create a new queen, but it will never be the original queen, and this is where the secondary queen comes in, but she will be smaller. And being a smaller individual, she will not be able to maintain the egg production that is required to maintain a large colony, so the colony itself will start getting smaller and smaller. And if the secondary queen dies, it is possible, remotely so, that a tertiary queen can be produced. And because a tertiary queen is nowhere near the size and reproductive capacity of a primary queen, and hang on. Okay, sorry, that would be a little. I'm going to switch it off my phone here. Because a tertiary queen can barely maintain egg production. It's there just to create, I don't know, a tertiary queen will be able to have a colony just ticking over with a minimal number of workers, but it certainly won't be able to produce the numbers of workers that are needed to maintain a mature colony. It might have been a very roundabout way of doing so, but if that gets the answer across, I hope so. I'm going up here because I want to. going into the sun all the time. Put on those bad roads. I haven't been up here for a while. Most colonies, one has a primary queen that becomes this elongated, very, very large individual, 100 times larger than the workers. In other cases, they will produce thousands of eggs a day. Here we got up ahead some nyala in the road watching us approaching. By the time a termite colony gets to a tertiary queen, it's dying off and it's not going to last very long with a tertiary queen. So that's why it's a kind of a rare thing. Fortunately, the termite colonies are all underground and it's very difficult to see these things. And personally, I'm dead against digging them up. I know that people fight with termites, especially in places where wood is used as building material for houses and you get termites into that wood. You've had it. Unfortunately, that's what they're designed for. Nature created them to decompose wood or to break wood down. And they don't know any better. They think, gee, how nice are these human beings to put up these wooden structures for us. I don't know. We're going to get it in the grass. Yeah. I know, but with the grasses in front, you're not going to get more. No. Fortunately, in Nyala, the one thing that we can see, we can. Here's a young, this one. You might get these. These are much better. Is that good enough for back of it? Male with his mother. No, they just moved. The grasses are just so long. They move a bit and they're hidden. Maybe if we go a little bit forward. No. They're also moving forward. Fresh.
I thought I saw some pits.
Old lion. Otherwise I must just move the mic somehow. Or try and identify where it's coming from. Yeah, but that's because I'm driving slowly. Try a few bumps and see if it makes any difference. Must be quite off-putting having that constant speak. I don't hear it because I don't have earphones on. Sorry, old man. I didn't see like you didn't see me. I didn't see you. Just saw your tail at the last minute. Beautiful old bull. One of the darkest we've seen. Why? Just because you can. You've got a lot of ticks there, dude. Your oxpeckers are not working very well. Are they on strike like the rest of our workforce in this country? Oh yeah, and you pick your nose with your tongue. Yeah, big deal. You're showing off now, you're showing off. So this boy has, this old man has seen some fights. A couple of bald patches, lumps and protrusions of calcium build up on his skull. His horns have been rounded from fighting over the years. I guess you could say a buffalo. No, it's not a buffalo. What's it called again? This is a giraffe bull in his prime. In his 20s somewhere. Which for a giraffe is getting on in years. I'm sorry I startled you, I really am. I'm sorry. Come back to this tree if you want. Sorry. Head held high. He just wanders off. I don't think he's got much to worry about in life. He must have seen his fair share of lions with eyes bigger than their tummies. That was a nice surprise. It just goes to show. All of a sudden, something could be there. And all of a sudden, it can disappear. Look, there's nothing. 2 seconds later, or 2 minutes later, we wouldn't have even known there was a giraffe here. Unless I looked at the ground and saw the tracks. But he all but disappeared into the bush. Which is why it's so lucky when we do see something. If only I can find an elephant. I need to talk to an elephant today. There's something urgent I really need to say. So we're just going to go and play out in the west where there might be some ellies. Head back to the river. Okay, Hello, Jan. Maryland, yes, there, Maryland, USA. If the fence is reserved, or the fence, let me try that again. The fence is reserved. If the reserve is fenced, getting my words mixed up. If the fence is reserved, is it possible that the prey species can be eaten up by the overpopulation of predators or something of that kind? Excuse me a sec, Jan. Which mobile looking on that Madoda Ingwe and Bonzo? Or maybe I spoke about somebody because my volume was down. Okay, copy. He headed east from Nyaleti. We're going the other way. Let him conzo for that Madoda Ingwe that was on Ilkley Loop and is now heading east on Nyaleti. Yeah, I can lunge a little bit. If he goes north, I'm going to lose it. Have you got anything up there, long one? Okay, copy. So his tracks are heading to that junction with Manga 1. I'm just going to go other side of Manga 1 and see if he's there. I think it's Manga 1. Oh, sorry, no, Jan, no, your ratio of prey species versus predators can never reach that point. Well, no, I suppose never say never, but in some smaller areas, yes, it very well might be, where you'd have not enough prey species. But I don't think it can really happen here. Yeah, I can't really drive around too much here because driving over tracks, guys want to come and help the tracks. Look, Jane, I don't want to say it depends, but unfortunately I have to, because any given area, whether it is fenced or not, does have a ratio of prey species to predators. So, I guess in the cases of, let's say for example, you've got a 1 acre enclosure with some lion in it, and you put a few impala, I guess they're going to eat up all the impala pretty quickly. Sorry, hang on. I'm going to stop on this in a second. Non pause. Not hearing anything.
So you're listening for alarms, eh?
Yeah. But what I heard was just a couple of birds, and there's a raptor that just flew, so it was some of the smaller birds that were shouting at that raptor. Looked like a Gabargos hawk perhaps. I don't know, flew too fast. It was a hasty identification, I didn't see it properly. One of the raptors. One of the small accipiters. Flew across the bow. So the larger the area, the more game that it can accommodate, and one has to monitor your ratio of predators versus prey. And theoretically, it should never get to the point where your predator species are outnumbering you. Physically, can't really happen because they can never eat that much. They just let it. Thanks, Rob. I don't want to pass much on this road because one of the other guys is coming over to track from there. So his left has gone north, he'll be able to follow up on it. The reason why I can't go north is only because we can't. And it becomes below this rise for us to reach camp. So, fortunate. It's like that when we saw that big female the other day. The first time we saw leopard on our live drives here. Another one. She was fine when she was in the grasses, but when she got up to come and drink, we lost that. Didn't manage to get that on the broadcast. Places like the Kruger Park, for example, big enough that numbers can be left to their own devices to a large extent. A place like Thornybush at 11,500 hectares, 25,000 acres. They do keep track of the numbers of lion. I suppose lion is really the main issue to worry about. Leopard, I think, although there's a healthy population of leopard, I think with the population of impala and other smaller antelope like duiker, not too many steenbok, because this bush is a little bit too thick for steenbok. There might be steenbok, we're just never going to see them in this because they're going to, like the warthog, we're not going to see the warthog. The grasses are way too long to see them. We'd have to catch them on some of the little short grass areas or open areas where we're likely to see them better. But these grasses are so long that they're practically even hiding impala at the moment from a really good summer. Thomas coming? Shucks. I do that all the time. Harry, say that again, how the radio was going? Okay, copy. Could you move a little bit to the left because in front of that Rob's saying thanks. That better. Okay, copy, thanks. Yeah, that's better, thanks. I'm taking my time east because I'm hoping that this leopard carry on walking, come back to this road and carry on walking east. If I go far enough and then come back, maybe we'll catch him on the road. Because he's definitely been walking. Like, yellow-billed oxpecker. Guys talking about some buffalo up north that have some yellow-billed oxpeckers on them. Might be of some interest to some of you birders out there. Something to look out for when we do see herd of some buffalo. Yellow-billed oxpeckers do tend to favour buffalo, I have to admit. I see more of them, especially in East Africa, on the buffalo than I have on giraffe and other animals, for whatever reason. The red-billed oxpecker is more common. Yellow-billed oxpecker went into decline because of its predilection for larger bovines like buffalo and cows. And it was their insistence on cleaning herds and herds of domestic cattle that set them into a decline because of parasite because of all the dips and pesticides that farmers use past present tense. Interesting question, Deborah. Baboons and hierarchy and birthright. I'll answer it to the best of my capability, that knowledge. Oh, that, no, that water hole. Too much fan. Start heading back west now. Two baboons, hierarchy, and isn't it birthright or is it some other meaning? Baboons, the males sort out their hierarchy by sheer force, and the females that are allied with the males are the ones that then get status when the males become dominant males, because he might have his favorite females, and when he gets ousted, the new male that comes in, it will depend, I guess, to some extent on whether or not he forms alliances with certain females, and they would become, in some ways, I guess, his alpha females. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I can really answer this question. You know, it's unusual in that, having lived in the bush most of my life, baboons and behavior, it's one of those things that one has to be with a troop of baboon. One has to know each individual and watch how the hierarchy changes. I don't believe this is something to be written about. I don't believe you can read anything in a book and say, that's what baboons do with regards to hierarchy. Because it's one of those behavioral things that is governed by factors way beyond anything that can, or it's governed by things that cannot put it down to one thing. It's all a combination of so many different factors, and because of that, one has to monitor a particular troop of baboons and see how that hierarchy develops within a particular troop, because it might be different for another troop. They are primates after all. And I've never had that opportunity. The closest I ever came to it was with that Gari gang, with the group of baboons at Juma. And even then I couldn't keep up with who was who as much as maybe Tara did. It was only when the troop was decimated quite severely, when it was dropped down to only a handful of individuals after it was 20-something strong, that one could then start identifying individuals. But what is vital under those circumstances is actually monitoring a particular troop and getting to know them and how they change leadership and hierarchy amongst females. It could well be that if a female has status with one male, she might keep that status with the next male coming in. I don't really know. Can't really answer it with conviction. Wherever I've lived, especially being in the tourism industry and living in camps and lodges all over Africa, unfortunately we have a conflict with the other primates, the baboons and the monkeys, that results in us not ever getting the chance to observe them, because we're constantly trying to either chase them away, or they're constantly running away from us from having been chased away by maybe my predecessors. And one never gets a chance to observe them and sort out the hierarchies. Similar with monkeys, speaking about primates. There's also been a troop of baboon on the road here. I don't know where they've gone. Get observed on camera, they're very shy. But there is this conflict. We store food, and because we store food, the animals that are intelligent enough to pick up on it learn how to break into our food stores to steal it, because after all, possession is 9/10 of the law, and they stick to that. You can't explain to a baboon or a monkey or even an elephant for that matter that the storeroom full of fruit and veg and bread and lovely tasty goodies is for human consumption only. It doesn't wash with them. If you've got it, it's there to be eaten, and if you're not eating it, then they want to eat it. And that just sadly dictates An animosity between species. It's one of those things. It's to protect guests, it's to protect the integrity of the lodge and health codes and all sorts of other things that come into it that are not really relevant. But it's what it does do is it just results in a situation where we just don't become friendly with these animals because they constantly think they're being persecuted, or they have been persecuted to such an extent that it'll take a long, long time for them to calm down. It's not really like hyena that hierarchy is determined by birthright. Listen. It's not easy with the modulator, but some leopard tracks here, but they're a lot older, going west. I'm thinking that this leopard at some point went west and he's come back east further on. If I could only find out where. If I drive over my original track. It's not his too much. But it's almost like I was convinced this leopard was walking on the road and then he heard us and he moved off into the bush. It's a nice long view of the road. Good, but there's nothing happening. It's not like he's come back on to the road. I must have headed north because we came up a road. Jill, morning, evening, good afternoon, whatever your time zone is. Hi, Jill. Wondering if we ever have an issue. Well, I couldn't really use the we here in this group. Would they ever have issues with interbreeding and small gene pools in the falconers? Very much so. There is a possibility, depending on the species, of course. I think, for example, like Impala, I think the gene pool is big enough that they can carry on breeding, it'll be fine. But there might be issues with other species. But I have to be honest with you about, before I attempt to answer something like that, this is the first time I'm ever in a self-contained reserve like this, in this capacity. And short of going and sitting down with reserve management and finding out what their policies are, I can't really answer any of these questions because I don't know what their policies are. I don't want to preempt anything by saying something and then finding out that I'm saying something counter to what the policy of Thornybush Private Reserve is all about. So it's kind of hard for me to answer that question. All I can say is yes, there would be an issue with some species and the gene pool, and that yes, they would definitely, or most likely, have to bring in other individuals to increase new genes. But I can't really say much more than that because I'm only here for a short period of time. I don't have anything to do with the management of this reserve, the wildlife management or the habitat management. And up till now, we haven't really had a convenient moment for me to convene a meeting with some of the guys, and in particular with the warden or the powers that be that make these kinds of decisions. But I'd imagine, yes, that there would be a bit of an issue with some things in inbreeding. And of course, the only way to remedy that would be to bring in other individuals. Okay, I'll give up. I don't know where this letter's from. It didn't come back out onto the road. I'm now obliterating his tracks. Which would be better normally on that junction of the Right. Looking nice in more. Okay, it should be good now. Almost looking happy now. That was just very jumpy. This road's so bad, not even the animals walk. No tracks at all. Of anything. Old elephant gun, encouraging. Sort of old. He's meant to be recording.
Recording?
Yeah. Been so for a while. Pardon? I'm famous for that. I just blame it on my elbow. Except most of the time it used to be my elbow. Days since an animal walked this road. Was that skillful one? I've got this little picture in my head of how to maneuver. Yeah. Doesn't always work. Most of the time it does. Not again. I wasn't watching. Hello, Vicky in Illinois. We're in Illinois. Vicky, hello. Vicky was asking if you can tell the sex of a zebra by the width of the stripe. No. See, I didn't even use, no, there's no depends in this one. There's just a straight all out no. I don't believe so. Whoever says so hasn't watched zebra for very long, or very much. It's kind of hard sometimes, it's kind of hard to tell the sex of a zebra, especially when it's just standing around. Although, most of the time, the stallion is going to be the one that is standing apart from the mares, and if they're walking, invariably it's the stallion that is at the back. Just going to head this way a little bit because I want to go back that way. I want to go across the river. Let's see if we can find those zebra across the river. I'm going to head this way a little bit, see if those other leopard came across the river to this side. And then we're going to go up to the other side of the river and go find the zebra. I can show you perhaps what I mean. Generally the male, the stallion, much thicker shoulders, thicker neck. Of course, dental formula, the teeth are the easiest ways, but of course, then again, not always easy to get a zebra to come up to you and say, open your mouth and look at its teeth. So you have to find other means of identifying sex. And it's not always easy to see the genitals. It's not always that easy to see his boy parts. often you'll find that a mare will have a foal with her, even if it's a yearling or going on 2 years, and the foal pretty much stays with her quite a lot, even with the new foal. But the easiest is just looking at the thickness of the neck, and I don't believe for 1 minute that it has anything to do with the thickness of the stripes. I might be wrong. It might be something that I've never even thought of looking at. No, not that it might be that. I've never really thought of looking at it, so that's what I mean. It might be that maybe there is some credence to it. It'd be interesting to know where you picked up that information, because I'd like to look into that. I can't imagine why the stripes would be that different. Sometimes the stallions are darker than the males. Always flying, hugging. The leopard didn't come out this way. Go back to one look. Joel wanting to know, is it normally the female that makes the kill in a pride of lion? Joel, there's no normal. There's no, when it comes to animal behavior, very seldom can you use the word normally. And if I ever use it, you can write to me and say, Mark, but you said you can't say normally this and normally that, because it's different. Every pride of lion is different. Every time they hunt is different. And, well, here it comes. It depends on so many different circumstances. Once again, it's a behavioural thing. And because it's a behavioural thing, it depends on other things. I'm starting to get worried now that I use the word too much, but I have to be as accurate as I can with my answers, and to do so I have to tell you this. There are times when the males play a very big role in the hunt, and there are times when they don't. But having said that, there are some prides where the males do, and there's some prides where the males don't. There are times when the males are on their own and they're not with the females and the cubs, and the males make their own kills. So you can't really, I wouldn't really be confident in making a statement that says that it's normally the females that make the kill or anything like that. Especially when they're going for large mammals, to a large extent, they need the strength, the size and the weight as to the strength of the males, especially when they're pulling down things like buffalo and giraffe. Unless, of course, you're speaking about a lion in certain parts of Africa that have hunted the likes of buffalo and giraffe for generations and generations, and as a result of it, the females have actually become excessively large, particularly around the chest, shoulder muscles and neck muscles, to be able to tackle things like buffalo on their own or with another female. A place like this, I don't believe these lionesses would be able to take a giraffe without a male helping them on the kill, helping them with the kill. I don't even know, maybe even buffalo. It'd be interesting to find out how many incidents in Kruger there are of, say, 1 or even 2 lionesses taking down full-grown buffalo bulls without the help of males. Yet in some parts of Africa where I've lived, it becomes, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, I guess you could say common. It happens on a relatively regular basis. And I hope that answers your question. Tony. I wonder if this is Tony in the UK. Is it Tony Bennett? Not the musician. Tony? Is it you? Old Tony. Anyway. Oh, Tony O'Neill. Okay, Tony O'Neill. Welcome to our drive, Tony. Tony's heard that male giraffes have a very particular scent about them, and wanting me to talk about that more, and I can't say anything about it. I don't believe I've ever smelt it, and because I've never smelt it, doesn't mean that they don't have it. I might just not have a nose for it. It might be at certain times of the year. Male elephant bulls, that is a different story. The must smell of an elephant bull is very, very strong. In fact, it makes some people nauseous. We call it nauseous. Nauseous in other parts of the world. I have to be honest, I have never smelt a male giraffe. I have them standing outside my house feeding on my knobthorn tree often enough. I've been pretty close to them. Even today we had that big bull giraffe. Did you smell anything with that big bull giraffe that we were with?
No.
I didn't smell it. Maybe it's a certain time of the year or something, but I can't say that I'm aware of that, Tony. I guess something to look up, something I need to follow up on. I do recall a similar question a long time ago, and I've never really looked into it. Steering too. Calm down. Buffalo thorn softener. This is one or two trees that are really, really tough. This might prove a problem, but I'll try and swing the back around after. Thinking there would be some elephant down here when we got back to the river. This is the only one really these days that needs to stick. But I can deal with this one quite well going this way. I can go up here. This is, but when I get over here, I can swing it thanks. It's swelling my head. Yeah. Beautiful light down the river now. We'll head all the way downstream to the Albedo Pans and see what might be there and come back across the river. It's not that much further. Yeah. The quietening of the day and the symphony of the night, and the transition between the two. Oh, geez, I'm lucky my kidney is well pushing. Yeah. Well, he'll probably head up straight. Or will he go? Maybe we'll just head back down across the river. Not on camera. How's it? Good, and you? Hello everybody. I don't know.
Literally nothing, eh? We've been cycling and cycling.
He walked from that junction with Ilkley Loop down Nyaleti, and then his track stopped just before Mangawan. And I went up Mangawan, there were no tracks there. And I've had a look on some of those other tracks coming down south, there's nothing. So I think he's gone on to one of the Rus Lucas. Lucas?
What?
No, I'm just telling my friends that I know this guy from Vietnam. Long time, man. How are you doing, man? Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Eating well, yeah?
I'm eating well, eh? Yeah. Where are you now?
Well, I'm right here at the cabin.
How long have you been here? Oh, all right, okay. Yeah, me too, man. Cool.
Let's check for a young Madoda on Guernsey Road going towards Miri.
Yeah.
The youngish one.
These little boys from here have been playing with me all morning because they came up from the power line, and then they've gone down more or less to Hamakop Loop area, but I don't know. They're either in that block just opposite our camp, or they're in that block near Hamakop Loop. Yeah, but there's tracks of that young Madoda, not older Madoda. Almost heading towards River Lodge from Hamakop.
Okay. So we've just come from there.
Yeah. Did you see 4 giraffe bulls down there? No. They were there this morning.
But I see I would have thought they would have been here at Alvida Pan.
Then they haven't crossed the river though.
Oh, so they haven't.
No, not that I can see. There's nothing on this.
I wonder if they haven't got more south towards the Ilkley Gate.
I've looked.
Nothing.
I did loops this morning and yesterday.
Yeah, we've done the intensive side.
The only thing is that they came out. You know, if you come out of our camp and you head straight down towards those water tanks.
Yeah.
Came from those water tanks towards that junction, came down this road, and then they headed west and went into the Slatine, more or less due south of River Lodge.
You don't have River Lodge.
Not that I know of. Are you going to the pan now?
No, well, I'll go back there, listen after all long.
Okay.
I'll go have a drink there, just listen.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll find it.
Otherwise, it's pretty quiet down here in the south at the moment.
Nothing. Not even tracks or around it.
No.
Where are you going to go? That's not.
Well, I was going to just come to the pan and then head back across the river and go and look for those cats. Because those Fenny and that, they're going to start going back to bed. And
Yeah.
maybe.
We saw them now.
Yeah.
So I'll go back around and sit that side of the field there, just have a drink there in the open there.
Yeah.
I'll chat to you that side.
Okay.
Work
I hope so. I'm not going to stay out late. I lose light 5:30 when I shut down. So she's got to. I hope she's got her watch with her that she comes out of the bush. Okay. Lucas, nice seeing you, but just I hope we'll see you again, eh?
Yeah, I will do it.
Pop in and say how's it? Come to camp.
Yeah, till August. Yeah, or end of July maybe. Right. Sorry, that was a little bit of a lengthy greeting to Hannes from Jackleberry Lodge, one of the Thornybush collection, one of the lodges. He's probably one of the most conscientious guys that I've met here. He follows up on tracks, and I need to sit down with him and actually learn a lot about the local cats from him, because he's quite clued up on their life histories and things. Matter of when he's not got guests, and, it's just time just doesn't allow us to do that usually. But Lucas, who's on the front of that it's not a Land Rover, it's another vehicle. But Lucas used to work at Juma, and he was a youngster. Plus he's matured a lot. He's looking good. Nice to see him tracking, because his talents were wasted and he was mostly doing, I suppose it's like a lot of the trackers, it's the way they start off with some of the labour jobs like gardening or waiter or the like. Aha, look at that. Not only the nyala, but 12-spotted owl. It walked by. Yeah. Well, I see where the owl went, but I doubt whether we'll get it. Maybe it's not an owl. No way you're going to see that the back one. It's just flown again. I think it was a pearly. A little tail flick of a pearl spotted that sits on this branch like a cat that gets angry and tail flicks from side to side. In any case, owls are the cats of the bird world. So cat-like. Okay, now couple of impala on the other side of this plan, but otherwise nothing here. Nice to see hunters down this part of the world. Maybe we'd turn around here and go back across the river and go try and pick up, because if I've got someone to help me with tracks, it's all about trying to cover more than one road at a time. We work in conjunction with another guide, then we have a greater chance of finding something. So let's find a place to turn around. And we might catch a really nice sunset going through the river and be reflected in the water in the river. I think that would be a nice thing to do. So, where were we, question-wise? Did I answer anything that, or did I answer any questions I didn't answer? Because I got sidetracked by the vehicle and Lucas. A couple of starlings. That one. For the starlings. But when birds are that far, we can't. All they see is a dot. We need birds close by, so only just sit and let us view them. Whoa. Okay, but now I want to do something with the sunsets. Like this, I'll show you something. I'm just going to go forward a little while. Yeah. Okay. Okay, but we can't do that on the live drive. What we can do, and I want to do, is just reverse now and get some done. Straight down this road. Tomorrow it'll be a little bit to the right, and it'll move a little bit more each day until it gets to the equinox. I mean the solstice. Sorry, solstice. Okay, I want to get to the river before we lose the sun. Okay.
Just want to give them a wide shot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, we've been patient, Mother Nature. For days, we've been quite patient. I know these leopards are somewhere. Could you please ask them to just come out onto the road for me? Please. Pretty please. Right movie, wrong cat. Look at that thing. I'm trying to remember where I saw those tracks this morning. I don't think it was here. I think it was on that other road. What? What fragrance? I don't know. Maybe that vehicle was here and it's woman's perfume. Sensual woman. I'll probably pick that up quickly. Yeah, the bulbul's going a bit crazy. I can't smell it. Flowering. Other than the dam that's got the algae blooming. I can't smell anything sweet. I might because I'm sitting lower down. I'm getting a fumes and stuff.
But it's past, that was just over there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Bulbuls are going a bit mad. But then bulbuls do that this time of the day. complaining. Might just be an owl. Something that... Tell me when you smell it again. Well, just tell me when, because we're going back through there now. It will be about here somewhere when we're smelling it. Oh, we crossed the river.
I said, where was that?
Here, here. Not to anything. Ordinarily, when you've got a scent like that, there's a white flower, whether it's gardenia or jasmine or one of those. But I can't, and they're not flowering now. There must be some lingering scent of something that you picked up. You just want me to join you at the back.
Get all cozy back here.
Okay. Well.
The temperature was like this. Actually, I smell a bit cool, Mark, and I want to get off the grass.
Because now's the time when the air's getting cooler and fresher when you smell these things, yeah. But also because a lot of them don't scent it in the daytime. They're like tuberoses. For me, one of the most heavenly scents. Tuberoses you don't smell during the day, but once night falls, they just pump it out. They want the moths that pick up the scent. Maybe the odd bat, nectarine bat. Eventually we'll catch up with the leopard. I'm hoping it will be today. back up onto the higher road. Fun trail from the jetliner plane going to Joburg or something. Oh, really?
It's a jet trail.
Contrail, condensation trail.
What's that you call a contrail?
Oh. Cooling down a bit. Picking that light from the sun.
Is that Cambridge University?
Could be. Coming from Dubai or something. Dubai or Dar es Salaam or Zanzibar, somewhere northeast of there. The longer we go without finding these cats, the more I wish that every time I turn a corner there's one in the road. It's one of those things that I suppose part of it is expectation. One shouldn't have any expectation because then you don't see anything. There's an Impala up ahead, it doesn't help me much. Doesn't rule out the leopard around. Might be leopard watching the Impala, especially this time of the day. Let's sit with those Impala a little bit. See as they head into this. Yeah. When the vehicle's moving, you can't really zoom. Our viewers get seasick. Yeah. Questions? helped much that we've had anti-poaching. I mean, it is helpful that we have. It's good that we have anti-poaching patrols, but when you try to look for an animal that might be close to the road and hiding just in the bush, if it sees humans, it's gonna disappear. Blaming it on the guy that's saying it. Always changes things when you have people. But I don't know where these cats. We'll find their tracks. Pretty much guarantee finding their tracks on these very same roads tomorrow morning, unless they cross the river. But I think they're still this side of the river. I'd like to go a little bit further than our water tank. How far I can get before we don't have a signal. Not just the road. That's all I want to do. Look down the road. There, what's that in the road? Nothing. Okay, and now what's it like? The tree stump that I saw. Well, further down here we're going to lose signal. It's not going to take us nearly time to say goodbye. A lovely straight road. There's an old straight road like this when there are cats around. Good place to start looking. Unfortunately not. And for those of you who are inquiring, Leon is on camera today. Leon, who's directing our 3D series, is on camera. Rob in final control. Brian, sorry, in final control. Rob was there. And he's editing. But Andrew and still in this. They're in the edit suite. Yeah, they've pretty much stopped the last couple of days. Andy and Aaron. Trying to get series 1 in the bag. Episode. Audio cutting out. No, just the audio. Are you hearing any audio phone? Not as chilly as it has been, but its temperature's dropping fast. Nightfall. Okay. Well. Even now. Already consistent. Okay, well, it's getting dark, I guess. Sound evidently is. I hope you can hear me. You've been with us at Thornybush Private Nature Reserve. My name is Mark. Leon on camera. And back in FC. All of us, yeah. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. All questions, had some fun questions today. I like that kind of thing. That's what keeps the drives going. There are not that many animals around. What's interesting is input from you, so I hope we'll do some. Central African time, my time. See you. Good night, everyone.